Most people with chronic gut disease such as IBD, Crohn's, colitis, SIBO will never overcome it. Not because the body can't heal, but because the entire medical space has been targeting the wrong cause. And once you understand what it actually is, healing becomes obvious. So let's go over all the false causes one by one, starting off with inflammation. So every gastroenterologist will tell you inflammation is the cause of your condition. The irony is that inflammation is how the body heals. Inflammation is mandatory to heal your digestive system. Think about it. When you lift weights, you're literally tearing your muscle fibers, and the inflammation that follows is exactly what builds the new muscle. Same thing if you break your leg. The bone gets all the nutrients it needs in this specific area, thanks to the inflammation, and you're trying to suppress it. So you're shutting down the healing while the actual cause stays completely untouched, and that's why your drug may work for a time and then stop. So then you try to figure out what actually triggered the inflammation in the first place, right? And so what most people will do is they'll just change the food they eat. Listen, I eat raw meat every day. I eat all the easiest to digest food we're supposed to eat as humans, because I love it. But if food was really the number one source of damage, why would somebody heal eating only meat, while another person heals eating only plants? Two opposite diets, same outcome. Doesn't make any sense. Like guys, I was born in France, the most so-called primal country in Europe. I grew up eating raw cheese, organs even. Still ended up bleeding the fuck out 20 times a day. So yes, food is important, but it's not the actual cause, which we'll get into. Another cause people talk about is dysbiosis, or bad bacteria overgrowing. Look, if you see firemen at a fire, the firemen didn't cause the fire, right? In fact, they came because of the fire. Bacteria show up while the gut is already damaged. Like, we are more bacteria than human cells. They don't cause disease. But then people do fecal transplants or take tons of probiotics, but it barely changes anything. Because you can pour all the new bacteria you want, it won't magically stick. Because what decides most of which bacteria survive in your gut is something else entirely. Another cause people talk about is stress. Now, again, you should do everything you can to have as little stress as possible in your life, especially while you're getting symptoms like resting properly, sleeping properly, breathing properly. But stress is way too vague to be useful. What are we talking about exactly? People run marathons, extreme cortisol, and don't get ulcerative colitis. People fast for 30 days, massive stress, and don't get Crohn's. So it's not stress itself, it's something more specific, right? And again, once you see what it actually is, the whole thing collapses. Because the specific type of stress which causes this was actually identified many years ago. So there's the scientist who ran an experiment with rats. He put them in an electrified cage, and he found that if the rat could run away from the shock, it was fine, and if it couldn't, it developed ulcers. But if the rat couldn't run from the shock, yet could fight with another rat while getting shocked, it was fine too. The fighting changed nothing, it still got shocked, it still got so-called stressed, right? But it could act on it. So the actual cause was being unable to act on the situation. We're talking about inhibition of action, misalignment with who you are, not doing what you want to do in life. Deep down, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it goes even further than that. Again, we want to be specific. So there's one doctor, Dr. Harmer, for those who know, who built the most complete model for how so-called trauma affects the body. What he finds is that most symptoms appear after specific events, which are dramatic, sudden, and unexpected. A moment where the brain decides, okay, I can't fight this and I can't run from it. So it starts running a program to deal with it. And so these specific experiences will affect specific parts of your brain, which we can see directly. But these specific experiences will also affect specific tissues depending on the function of the organ. So think about it. What's the purpose of the digestive system? To digest food, right? But guess what? Food isn't just what you put in your mouth. Food is everything that your mind perceives as important for you. So it can be food, but it could also be family, relationships, but especially nowadays, money, your business. What can't you digest in your life? Now, the colon's biological job is to absorb water, but also to evict all the crap that can't be assimilated. So what can't you get out? If you're talking about the rectum, we're talking about making your place. What are the things at work or in your family that make you feel you've lost your role? What beliefs important to your identity are you trying to impose on those around you? But here's where it gets even more interesting, because some symptoms, such as constipation, for example, will appear while you're dealing with this stressful situation. But most symptoms, such as diarrhea or bloody diarrhea, will usually appear in the resolution phase, when the body is finally healing the mucosa after the stress ends. That's why you fly on vacation, after the exams, after a divorce. But then usually what happens is that you stay in the same loop, so your body keeps adapting to the same situations over and over again. That's when it becomes, chronic. The body isn't malfunctioning. It just adapts to a problem you couldn't solve yourself. Like, if you can't express your feelings, where do you think it's gonna go? Do you think it's gonna magically disappear? No. So how do you actually heal? 3 questions to sit with. Number 1, what can't you digest in your life and not evacuate? Be specific. Number 2, when your last flash started, what happened in the hours, days, weeks before? What emotions did you feel? What are the situations in which your body keeps adapting the same way over and over again? And once you've identified it, ask yourself, can you change the situation by learning new skills, for example? Actually make a plan to escape? Because fighting back is pretty much impossible nowadays, unless you live in nature. But sometimes the solution may just be to become someone else entirely. Deep belief work, to change your perspective and practice gratitude for this amazing life. Like, you can't sit there complaining about your life when the odds of you even existing were basically zero. And of course, after all these months and years, most of your perception is subconscious. That's the whole purpose, to not have it conscious, otherwise you would go crazy. Imagine if you still thought about this problem, about how to solve this initial conflict. You couldn't solve it yourself. That's the only way out, the last message to tell you to finally live in alignment. It has nothing to do with genetics. Oh, it's not my responsibility, it's genetics. Like, yes, sure, you may have a predisposition, but why do identical twins don't both get Crohn's? Genetics don't pull the trigger. Like, people talk about genetics as if you couldn't do anything about it. But most of the time, you didn't have any issues up until you were 10, 20, 50 years old. So the same way, your body can heal, no matter what other people will tell you. Now, we live in a messed up world, so it's not your fault. But what you do from here with this video, that part is yours.